What is happening, YouTube? This is the CEO Gamer. So I promised that I would be doing a video on a build particularly for invasions, how to win in invasions, and particularly taking on multiple hosts and phantoms at the same time, including gang squads. So I spent the last month just focusing on this. I wasn't doing PvP, I wasn't doing PvE or anything. I was solely focused on doing invasions, taking on multiple invaders at the same time in the kind of Aldrich Faith area in the main area where a lot of gang squads are. And after working with a lot of my top builds, I learned some things that it's not just about the build, it's the particular style of play and how I kind of had to reconfigure a few things to deal with multiple invaders and gang squads, because how you do a PvP build is probably not going to be the same to how you do a PvG or an invasion type build. So this video is actually inspired by Oro, who did a great video just recently on how to win invasions. And he comes up with three particular builds to win in invasions to put yourself in a dominating position. And the first build is the first one is the combo build. You know, either using, say, one of the twin blades, Cellstar twin blades, or Warden twin blades, or the Onikiri Nubidachi. And you have to set up combos, and you have to connect them all and do them really fast and take out the host very fast. The second build is a Hornet Ring parry build, so that when you catch them with the parry, that you're able to basically one-shot them with the parry if possible. And then the third build was a heavy weapon with a washing pole build. And while all these three are highly effective, and I think they're fantastic builds, I think there's one that was missed, and that is a caster build. And so I had been spending a whole month kind of working with various casting builds that I had and testing out sorceries, pyromancies, and miracles. And after this whole month of kind of testing, really working with it and meditating on the essence of what I need to do with this, I've come to the conclusion that the Pyromancy is the best build for invasions and taking on multiple invaders at the same time. And this came down to the fact that the heaviest hitting spells that they have are the fastest, they take the least amount of FP, and you can truly two-shot them. Now you can two-shot with a Crystal Soul Spear, but the release time is much slower, and you're probably not going to connect two in a row unless they're highly distracted. And so I wanted something that was going to be fast, that was going to be brutal, and was just going to come in guns blazing and take people out very fast, so that no matter what, I could take people out in 2 shots. Any phantom in 2 shots, and the host in 2 shots, and if not in 2 shots, then in 3. And so to me, a 2-shot build or a 3-shot build is very realistic. And the key difference for me was in changing how I stack the rings. So normally I would do 1 or 2 rings to help with the pyromancy damage, but I wouldn't use the fire clutch, and I would save one for maybe Ring of Favor or Ring of Steel Protection. But I ended up stacking all 3 because I realized then I could truly 2-shot them, and with a Sage plus 2 ring, you're coming out super fast and you can take out people very quickly. So one of my first tactics is kind of the sneak attack blitz, where I'm going to come into an already kind of existing fight going on, and I'm going to be looking for people who are engaged, and I'm going to isolate a phantom, and I'm going to get off 2 quick shots, and you're going to completely eliminate a phantom in 2 shots. There's no phantom that's going to survive 2 shots of the Chaos Bed Vestiges. It's just not going to happen. So as you can see right here in this video, I had an Obscuring Ring heading into the battle, and then when I get close I switch to the Fire Clutch. I isolate a phantom right off the bat, and there we go, bam, 1, and he was hit by another spell, so he's out. Then I isolate another phantom, he's getting hit with mine, and he gets hit with another spell, and he's gone. So we just eliminated 2 phantoms in less than 5 seconds. And when you eliminate 1 or 2 phantoms that fast, the host is most often going to panic, and it's going to have a massive psychological effect on them that you were able to clean out not just 1 but 2 people that fast. That's how brutal this is, that's how fast this is, and that's how quickly you can take people out. And so that's the whole point of this, is a pure 2-shot build, which is very reasonable. 1-shot builds are not reasonable because you have to have all these rings set up for the 1 shot and all these conditions, and by the time you get your 1 shot off, you've already been tagged and you're done. So The goal was to build a pure two-shot build in a way that I could do it with maximum damage, speed, and brutality. And so that was the final step for me, was in really stacking all the rings instead of splitting them between some offense and some defense. The other thing that you're going to have to do with your build is you're going to have to get the intelligence and faith both up to 60. That means you're going to have lower health, and that means you're not going to have as high stamina. And so you are going to, take punishment pretty fast because of that fire clutch ring. But even if you can't take out a phantom super fast, when you one hit them and it's 70% of their health is gone, they're going to reconsider. So that is kind of the potency of this thing. The other tactic that I use, if you can, is a Sacred Flame tactic. And what I do is I try and isolate somebody who has less than 80% health. And with the Sacred Flame, you're either going to one-shot him or you're going to drain him to nothing. And then right away you just pepper them and boom, they're gone. So the Sacred Flame tactic is the other spell that is necessary. If you could only have 2 spells and 3 slots, Chaos Bed, Vestiges, and Sacred Flame. If you can get 4 slots, I would suggest throwing in maybe a Fire Whip for in small spaces when you got somebody's charging you. And if you can get a 5th slot, then I would say Chaos Bed, Vestiges, the Chaos Orb, and the Sacred Flame. I ended up increasing this to 6, but if you only had to do that. Also, just to kind of give you an idea about the Sacred Flame and how you can use it, if somebody isn't damaged and they have full health like this one here, then your Sacred Flame, because it stacks so strong, if you look, I just took out 90% of their health, and you follow up with an Orb or a Vestiges, and they're gone. And so that is going to also make melee type hosts and phantoms really reconsider engaging you at close range, because if they get caught with it, they know they're done. And anytime you drain somebody's health in one shot with 70%, they're only thinking one of 2 things. They're thinking Chug Estus, or they're thinking Panic. So here again, I isolate one of the phantoms. He has less than 80% health. Sacred Flame triggers him to nothing. He's just got his Tears of Denial, and then I tag him with either the Chaos Bed, or the Chaos Orb. The next tactic about this is the kind of like guns blazing. So there are often times where you will be invading into a hot zone where there's already a lot of activity going on, where there's multiple invaders just waiting for you. So anytime I invade into a world, I always have Chaos Bed Vestiges as the first spell ready, because if I need to, I can start firing off those right off the bat and start really kind of changing the nature of the invasion, especially if they have, if I have other invaders that are on my side. So I really just kind of use this one as the kind of just come out guns blazing right off the bat. I don't have any of the other spells ready. This is always the spell that's ready once I'm invading. And so, now we've eliminated one host super fast and kind of changed things, and pretty soon, while they're all engaging one of the melee users, I isolate the host and one-shot them. And then as you can see right there, I one-shot another one there. So that is the goal of this build. It's maximum brutality and speed, and it's just to kind of come in and take people out with brute force really, really fast. Here is also another example clip. Zoom right in the zone, multiple invaders, attackers going on, fire them off super fast, and one's down. So now at this point the Phantom is thinking, oh shit. Once somebody goes down that fast, that's when the panic starts to set in, or that's when you change the nature of the game. Another part of this build is if you can get your dexterity up to 17, then that is great. Why? Because at 17, that's the minimum to hold the Witch's Lock, which will stack and get a bonus from the Fire Clutch Ring, because the weapon art does fire damage. So really, you're piling everything into offense and using every part of your build to take advantage of every ring you had. And so now, as you can see, this host who had 3 phantoms is now down to 1. They're panicking, and they're doing, just panic rolling everywhere. They're doing everything they can to escape. You've just kind of come in and blitzed them and really changed the nature of the invasion and the gank squad. So that is the second part of, in terms of tactics, is to make sure you are ready once you come into an invasion zone. And then the third particular tactic and key part of this build is grouping. So when you are using the Chaos Bed or Chaos Orb, you want to look for opportunities to find group targets. You can see two of them were to there. I fired one. The host tried to run a little bit. I caught him on the second one. It's over. Both their phantoms are still there, and it's just over. And so grouping targets is very, very critical. Here I got another group situation, which is perfect for me. They're engaged with the melee user. 2 shots. His Tears of Denial is active and gone, and we hit the host. So super important that you fire this off in groups. And the other thing about it is the ability to punish Estus, and you can do that with the Chaos Bed or the Chaos Orb. The Chaos Orb actually does more damage quantitatively, but it splits it up. And that has an advantage because the first hit does slightly less than the Chaos Bed, but then the second one stuns them, the lava stuns them and slows them up. And if they're being chased by a melee and a fire guy, then the melee guy is going to keep falling down and you're kind of stunning them, so you're allowing their melee attacks to do more damage or to catch them while you're stunning them. So that's super important when you are using the Chaos Orb, is to understand that it's really good for slowing them down, potential crowd control. And so also another key aspect is timing with your fellow invaders, working with your fellow invaders. If you have a fellow invader that is a melee guy, here I had a perfect situation. They were grouped, and then I have a melee guy attacking, and so if I hit him with one fire and it takes 7% of their health, the melee guy is also going to be tagging them. But the other advantage of this is that you want to, as much as possible, be aware of your invader and when they're timing their attacks, because if you can be firing just after, it's very hard for a host or a phantom to dodge both a melee attack and a fireball at the same time. Ideally, they are also paying attention to you, and if you're a melee user, you should be paying attention to your casters, and when they're firing, if they get the first shot off, then you should be attacking them shortly after, because then one of your attacks is most likely going to increase the probability that one attack will land, and ideally both. So again, another grouping situation. The host is smart in this one here. He kind of separates himself, and he kind of allows the other guy to take on him, but the other guy's gone, so now it's just him. And so this is super important, is working with your co-invaders as much as possible, because when you start to coordinate your attacks with them, whether you're on chat with them or not, you really increase the potential for damage. Also, if you notice there, when he was going to summon a phantom, I threw the Chaos Orb instead of the bed, and that's because the bed will create that pool of lava, which will stun them. And so while they're pausing to summon, they're stunned and the melee guy can rush in there. So he's attacking with the melee. I'm trying to time my attacks with his melee attack and pepper him. His Tears of Denial is active, and at this point, it's just a matter of... and he's gone. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and make sure you share your comments on your builds as well and what you thought about this. Until then, good luck out there with your invasions. Dominate, and I'll see you inside the Dark Souls universe. Take care, everyone.